Due to the passing of Trump's big, beautiful bill in July of 2025, people are now not being able to eat. People are losing their SNAP benefits. According to statistics from quarter four going into quarter one of 2026, there has been 3.8 to 4.3 million people who either lost their benefits altogether or their benefits has been severely cut due to constraints and the new aggressive requirements for people who need to get SNAP, people who depend on the benefits of what SNAP provides. You know, raising the working age limits, right, from 54 to 64, which now it makes people who are in their early 60s continue to have to work, right? Because to get SNAP, you have to work 20 plus hours a week. They're honing down on how much one can receive. So, you get 200 one month and then you may get only 75 or $50 the next month, because it's all basically bottlenecked in this one basket of capital. And you have one person telling another person, right? One person with power, influence, connections, authority, telling another person who doesn't own much and who's starving and who is, needing the system to thrive. That one person is telling that one person how much they need to survive, how much they can allow them to survive, which is all kind of crazy to me, Because 10% of America is dependent on SNAP, right? I think there's around 35 to 38 million Americans who actually depend on SNAP, whether it's for part-time or full-time, needs as far as groceries, So it's severe that basically 10% of Americans who depend on SNAP, they will be affected, whether they're not getting SNAP anymore or their benefits are being cut, which, what is $50 when you have a family of 3 or 4? I mean, what is $50 for one person, especially in America? So it's like, what do we do? It's like everybody's kind of just looking around with their hands in their pocket. This is forcing people to work more. This is forcing people to, always have their hand out and extend, their hand for help because people need help. Like you need to eat, you know, like this isn't talking about being able to buy a home at this point. We need bread, butter, some fruits, right, to sustain ourselves day to day, especially when we have kids. So like this bill is actually affecting people's livelihood directly. Now, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Has it affected you guys? Has it affected people that in your neighborhood, your block, your city, your state? I heard that Arizona, amongst other states, but Arizona is leading the charge to where beneficiaries based in that state are getting turned away from a documentation standpoint because the legalities around getting SNAP is not fully dependent on how fast you apply or the correct or not correct information you provide, to SNAP to get your benefits or maintain it. Getting your benefits or maintaining it is also stipulated on how fast these companies, they work, right? The SNAP, reviewers work in these states. People don't have the staffing, people don't have the time. So it's crazy what's happening. Like in my head, I'm thinking of two things. Okay, they're forcing people to work more because the working requirements, the age limit, the minimum age limit for working requirements. Basically, if you're over a certain age, you don't have to provide working requirements. They raised it from 54 to 64. That's a decade difference where people who probably weren't working or were planning not to work, planning to retire and still use SNAP, they can't do that until they're now 64. We can get our 401k at 59. We can get our SSI 62. But to get SNAP, we still got to work until we're 64 before they change it again. So that's one thing. And now the other thing is people who are not even close to retirement, they're now having to work more, trying to work more because they either can't afford the food that they can get because the SNAP benefits are cut. So they got to work more, which kind of defeats the case because there are income stipulations, there are working stipulations, there's a maximum amount you can even get with SNAP and it's always tied to income. Plus the documentation that you need to get your SNAP or maintain it, it's more. You got to apply, You gotta get bank statements, you gotta get notaries from your neighbors or people that you know saying, yeah, are living in these conditions, and all this has to be submitted within a certain amount of time. And even if you get all that submitted within a certain amount of time, which is a job, at least a part-time job by itself, because you gotta wait on all these other people, your bank, your community, your job, to get you all these documents. You then gotta hope that the state that you're applying in can get all that shit back within time. Because if they don't, basically, if it's their fault, it's still your fault. It's assumed your fault because maybe you didn't get it early in time, right? Or whatever the case may be. Even if you do everything you need to do at day one, you have 29 to 30 more days in that month. If they don't do their best efforts to get your stuff in and process it and approve you, you have to start that process all over. So it's like they're really trying to chew out people from Snap. You know what's happening? What's happening, guys, is they're just trying to keep capital. Right? It's a game. They're trying to keep capital on them. One, people aren't going to do this documentation paperwork. They're not going to do it. Two, if they're going to do it, it's just a game. Well, we don't have the staff to process all this stuff. So try again next month or try again next quarter. Even if you get pushed through the ringer, your benefits may get cut for whatever reason. So it's crazy. They're chewing us out, us as in a society, to where we are American citizens living in America, right? This group, right, that I'm referring to, they live in the United States of America trying to reap the benefits, doing what they can, being bogged down by a system to where there's supposed to be another system next to the systems that's bugging them down that is still kind of bogging them down. Because at the end of the day, you know, this wealth gap is increasing, and they're looking at every category in life that affects our livelihood to increase it, guys. And now it's affecting food. It's been gas. It's been education. It's obviously been wages, right? Like it's all this. It's obviously been health and insurance. Now it's food. They're directly impacting if we can wake up the next day. Seriously, it's food. If this is your first time seeing Black, hit the sub. I talk about this stuff often because I want people to be aware and enlightened of what's going on. Even if people are experiencing it and acknowledging it, like I want you guys to see the signs, the writings on the wall that the America we once knew or that we once thought can provide for us is not doing it. So let me know in the comments if you're affected. Let me know what state you're from. And let me know if you see any light with, SNAP getting better, SNAP changing. I mean, maybe we write to our local authorities and something. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are thinking about, but I would assume something needs to change because people are having more kids, or people are still having at least the same amount of kids, and it's it's affecting them. It's affecting the families. It's affecting how people think. It's affecting people's sleep and health, not knowing where their next is going to come from as far as a meal. 10% of people relied on SNAP benefits. Let me know what you guys think.